advocacy, community, education, resources, rewards. Learn more at thervadvisor.com.
This is the RV Advisor Podcast with your host, Tom Alexander. Get all the latest information, trends, advice from experts, stories from the road, and more in the world of recreational vehicles. Now, here's Tom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander, and my guests today are Kyle and Emily. Kyle and Emily are from Cincinnati, and their Instagram page is called Another Amazing Adventure. Kyle and Emily, welcome.
Hi there.
It's great to have you on, and this is cool because we were talking ahead of time, and you said that you are aspiring full-timers. Not quite there yet for full-timing, but something you're working towards, I guess, huh?
Yeah. That's definitely a dream of ours. Our kids still have a few things that they are tied to here locally, and we don't necessarily want to take them away from their friends and stuff like that. So we're going to give them the freedom to finish out their school and spend the time here growing up at home. And then once they've reached the point that they're, kind of out on their own, that's when we decide we're going to take time for us.
Gotcha. Well, that's very nice. And Cincinnati is the home base and home of the Reds and Skyline Chili.
Yes.
So
it's National Chili Dog Day today.
Yeah.
So
what? I'm sorry. Say that again.
Oh, it's National Chili Dog Day today. So
it
everyone's
is.
eating Skyline.
Oh, I did not know that. All right. Well, that's it's National Something Day somewhere every day, right? So yeah, I think we actually have one location of a Skyline Chili here in South Florida. I've yet to try it, but
I've been to that one.
You've been to that one on
Yep.
University Drive in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So, geez,
When I lived in Orlando, when I was right out of college, there was a couple of us that moved down there, and we would drive down there quite often for our Skyline fix.
Wow. All right. So let me ask you this: is Cincinnati the birthplace of chili in general? It is.
Well, not chili.
It's kind of like a Greek chili.
Yeah.
It was brought over by Greek immigrants, and they opened the first restaurant here in Cincinnati with their unique brand of chili.
Yeah.
And it just became a Cincinnati staple. I mean, if you ask anyone in Cincinnati, yes, we are the home of chili.
Yeah. Well, that I can relate to that because that's my heritage. And so my dad always made a really great chili for the hot dogs, and it was a little different. And I suspect since it's Greek immigrants, I'm guessing that probably similar. A little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of cumin.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
Few things.
absolutely it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, so we'll that's good stuff. Anyway, let's talk about your trip, your trips. You've obviously, like you said, the goal is to eventually go full time, but tell us about a couple of places you've been recently that have been fun for you.
I'll let you.
Well, our last one was our big one, our 2-week-long one. We started in North Dakota, and we went to Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and then we went on to Glacier National Park in Montana. And we met up with my parents there for 4 or 5 days.
About 5 days.
Yeah. And then from there, we went down to Yellowstone and the Grand Teton, stayed there for a couple more days. And then we went on to South Dakota. We had already been there, but we didn't get to do Wind Cave National Park. So we did that. And then we did Mount Rushmore at night, which was new for us because we only did it during the day. And then from there, we went on to Nebraska so we could check off Nebraska, and then Iowa coming home.
Oh, all right. So you got around a little bit.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, that's a wonderful part of the country to explore. Yeah. And the Dakotas and Montana and that region, kind of big sky country and all that stuff, and the Badlands and all that. Those are some places I'd love to get to. I've yet to get to and would love to see before too long. And do you have a permanent RV that you have, in your possession, or do you rent one, or how does that work?
We do. We actually started out, I guess about 2 or 3 years ago. We would just do tent camping, and our kids were involved with Scouts, so we were always camping somewhere, at least for a weekend.
Mhm.
And last year, it's how we kind of got into this a lot more involved is we had booked a trip to go to Disney World at the end of 2019 is when we booked it. And the trip was for the summer of 2020.
Yeah.
Well, everyone knows what happened in the summer of 2020. So
Absolutely.
Disney was not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we got our deposit back, but we still had our plane tickets. And we decided, well, we can't get a refund on these tickets. Why don't we just get a flight? We'll go out west like we've always talked about doing, and we'll rent an RV while we're out there. So we rented the RV and we spent 10 days driving around in that. It was a Class B motorhome that we rented through a private company. And we did that for 10 days and we just fell in love with the whole concept. We had a pop-up camper for a little while, but we decided, this is something we definitely want to do. So we sold the pop-up and we put our money in just recently a 2021 Wolf Pup 16 BHS, which is just big enough to where our kids can sleep in their own spot and not want to kill each other.
Right. That's important. That works out generally pretty well if you can avoid any kind of a carnage along the way. You just you don't want to deal with that.
With no bloodshed.
Yeah.
Good.
I grew up a camper, like a tent camper, and that's how our boys are. So we didn't want to jump right into a huge travel trailer just yet because we still want to keep that atmosphere of camping. Right. But we figure we'll work our way up.
Yeah.
We'll tow around the littler one for now, and then once we get more comfortable, then we'll work our way up to a bigger one.
Yeah, because when we're out traveling, we're out seeing the sights. We're enjoying, the area that we're in.
Yeah.
And we're in the camper just long enough to get some food, get some sleep, maybe clean up a little bit. So at this venture, we're not really looking for anything massive. Like she said, we just need something that we can sleep in and be self-contained. Yeah. And then we go out and enjoy where we are.
Excellent. Well, let's find out a little bit more about what's coming up, some plans for the future. And I want to tell you that if you go on to their Instagram page, and it is another amazing adventure, and there's a dot between each word, another dot amazing dot adventure, you can see some fantastic photos of some really cool places, including Devil's Tower and a lot of things. So we're going to talk about some of find out what's going on down the line, down the road, as you say. This is the RV Advisor Podcast. My guests are Kyle and Emily from Another Amazing Adventure. Back in just a moment.
Buying an RV is an exciting moment, like buying a new house. You should inspect the RV and the contracts thoroughly. You may not know what to look for, and that's where the RV Advisor comes in. GG and her experts are here for you at rvadvisor.com.
We are back on the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. My guests are Kyle and Emily. They're speaking to us from Cincinnati, Ohio. They are the part of the Another Amazing Adventure Instagram page. Well, they are. I mean, that's essentially what they share with everybody. They've got some great photos here that I'm scrolling through. I see Mount Rushmore there and Devil's Tower, which of course was a key component to one of my favorite movies of all time, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yes. And just a lot of really cool stuff. That looks like. Did you get to Old Faithful? Is that Old Faithful I see?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So seen a lot of really cool places. You got Buffalo in the middle of the road holding up traffic. Pretty cool. And of course, the adventures don't just stop there. You've got some plans here in the near future before the kids go back to school, huh?
Yes, we are. They actually go back to school in just a few weeks, and right around the same time, we booked a campground at Camp Cedar, I think
Camp
is the
Cedar.
name of it. It's a new RV park that is associated with Kings Island, the major theme park here just north of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And it was actually booked. My brother and I booked it together because we have the same identical camper, which we bought about a month apart from each other.
We had ours first, though.
We did have ours first, so
You
they
did.
saw ours and fell in
Yeah.
love with it, so they got their own. But we've got two sites backed up to each other, and we're just going to go have a fun weekend close by, and
Wow.
say goodbye to summer, and then we're planning our next trip, which is probably going to be up to Michigan sometime this fall, and then you really want to do something special around Christmas time.
Yes. I'm wanting to hit Key West and the Everglades, and I desperately need vitamin D in the winter. And that's kind of like, I'm thinking, let's go do that.
Yeah, let's get to Florida. I understand that. I got bitten by the bug early because I grew up in Pennsylvania, and so I understand the kind of weather patterns that go through that area in Ohio, and winters can be a little gray and
Yes.
dim. And after about 3 months of that, you start losing your mind.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I at least I do. I was never a winter sports kind of person. I wanted to swim and play baseball and ride my bike, and you can't really do that too well in the winter time in Pennsylvania. So we would always go to Florida when I was a kid, right at Christmas time,
Mhm.
and fell in love with it. And eventually I moved down here. It took a while, but finally relocated. So I can.
Our biggest problem is going to be every time we go someplace new, she falls in love with it. So as soon as we get home, she's like, I really want to move here. I really want to move here. I really want to move here. And that leads into our eventually wanting to go full time. We don't have to worry about moving anywhere. We're just going to be on the move wherever we want to go.
Yeah. Now, so how much planning goes into one of these adventures? Do you plan pretty heavily, or do you just sort of say, oh, you know what? Go ahead.
I do most of the plan. I do most of the planning. I'm a little OCD with I'm not an organized person at all.
Mhm.
But when it comes to planning my trips, I have a binder, and I've got like the sheet protectors in there, and I have like a schedule. I try not to be too overly scheduled because I do kind of like to go on the float. We picked up our first road trip was the Blue Ridge Parkway, and we just knew we were going to do the Parkway. We didn't have any pre-plans. Just when we get somewhere, and I loved it. And it just, that's kind of been our style. So I will plan what things I want to see or what things we're going to stop and see along the way.
Yeah.
But that's about it. It's not like, let's do this at this point or this at this point. It's just, these are what I want to see. And then I give it to him, and he kind of GPSs it and gets our route, and
Off you go.
Yeah. The only time we'll like make sure we're at a certain spot for certain nights is if there's like Yellowstone or Glacier.
Right.
It's really hard. You have to book that stuff way ahead of time.
Yeah.
So it's like with that stuff, we'll do that ahead of time. But like South Dakota, we had no campground reservations. Nebraska, no campground reservations. Just wherever we fell, that's where we land,
That was it. Yeah.
Yep.
That was it.
That's her version of the honey-do list. She gives me the list of, I want to do this. I'm like, okay, stop one. Here we go.
Yeah. Hey, that's fine. It seems to be working for you, and that's all that matters. And you've got some cool plans ahead. It should be a lot of fun, particularly, and the kids are at a great age. It seems that they can really, they'll remember all of it. It's something they'll retain, and who knows, maybe when they get to be your age, they'll kind of carry it on, do the same kind of thing if they, really enjoy it.
And learn from a couple of mistakes that we've
Yeah.
made along the way.
Listen, you know what? That's very helpful, right? Because
Yes.
we hear that a lot from folks on the show where they'll say, well, we're not going to do this again. Or, but it's such a great community, the RV community, that people are very helpful, and they'll say, hey, you might want to think about doing this or avoid that, or, but do this, But
We actually had that happen at Yellowstone. When we pulled into our parking spot, the spot directly across from us was another person with, again, an identical trailer to ours.
yeah,
And they were leaving as we were arriving. So we only had about a day overlap, but we got to spend about an hour and a half just comparing notes. We got to see some things they did with theirs. We showed them some things we did with ours. And there was no pretension or anything like that. It's just, oh, you know, let's see how we can help each other.
yeah,
And it's always been that mindset. And in fact, there was another trip, one of our first trips we took, our trailer got stuck in the mud. And immediately 5 people were out here. Let me get my diesel. We'll hook this up. We'll get you out of there. So it's just a community that we love being a part of. And especially as we do this more and more and just growing those relationships, it's been a real, you know, blessing for us.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's great, and it is true. I mean, it's some of the most helpful people you'll ever meet are in the RV community. They're on the road, and they just, everybody's just looking to help out. Look out after each other, you know. And
Yes.
it's great. Well, listen, Kyle, Emily, we really do appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on the show. It sounds like you've got some fun plans in store.
Well, thanks for having us.
thanks
We
for
really
having us.
appreciate it.
Absolutely, and like I said, when you get down to South Florida, hopefully, you know, we'll catch up again.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
All right, Kyle and Emily are my guests from Another Amazing Adventure. You can follow them on Instagram, another.adventure. I'll get it. Another Amazing Adventure. Put the dots in the middle of it.
There you go.
We'll put it on the screen below, you know, because, you know, if I try to actually get it out
It
between,
took me a while.
we'll get there, you know. But again, thanks. Safe travels. We'll see you again, folks. This is the RV Advisor Podcast. Back in just a moment.
The RV Advisor was created for you to protect your rights as an RV enthusiast and arm you with the knowledge to navigate the complex RV industry. There's strength in numbers, and that's why we've built a nationwide network of RV owners empowering you with the advice you can trust at rvadvisor.com.
Welcome back to the RV Advisor Podcast. Along with Neve Carey-Zacco, I'm Tom Alexander. Did it the other way this time. I introduced you first, as it should be. We should introduce you first. How you doing?
All right. Fantastic. Can't complain.
That's it. All those superlatives. Great, wonderful, tremendous, terrific. And
Yeah.
and I know that we've been working on a lot of folks to come on the show, including, you know, let me preface this by saying that I think that country music and RVing often go hand in hand, right? We're working on some.
They sure do. They sure do, Tom.
Yeah, we're working on some celebrity guests.
Yes, we are.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I know. I think my connection might be a little bad, but yes, yeah. Country music stars, basically, obviously, along with other stars, but it is very common, as you said, Tom, for them to travel with their families or with their bands, from venue to venue. You know, upcoming stars as well as very, very big stars. I mean, off the top of my head, I know Jason Aldean does it with his family on a regular basis. So yeah, we're trying to jump on that bandwagon and get a few stars on the show and explain how RVing on the road is, you know, effective for them as a family and as a band and as a country music star. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see who we can get on.
Yeah, we're working on that, and we hopefully will have an announcement to make in the not too distant future. We're working on a couple of things, and the response has been open and favorable, so that's a good thing. Let's see what it leads to. No promises, but we're working on it.
Exactly.
On that note, I want to remind you, if you want to be a guest on the show, because you guys are all stars, everybody out there, you know, in the RV community is a star to us. You can reach out to Neve, and she is our guest coordinator. And Neve, why don't you give them your email address?
Yeah, it's ncarey at the rvadvisor.com, or catch up with me on any of our social media outlets, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and drop me a private message, and I will be able to get back to you from there.
Terrific. Neve, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you on later in the week.
Thank you.
All right. All right. We're recording this in the morning, folks, and we're just, both of us we're
Foggy.
clearly not morning people. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. For Neve Carey Zacco, I'm Tom Alexander. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. So long, everybody.